Hello and welcome everybody to the American Family Insurance DreamBank, where we believe in the transformative power of dreams. My name is Andy Frisky. I am a senior dream curator here at DreamBank, and on behalf of myself and my entire team, so thrilled to have you all with us here today. And as we get started, we always like to learn where people are joining us from today, and encourage you to share so in the comment section. I am in downtown Madison, Wisconsin. It is not the prettiest out today, so hopefully there's some sunshine where you are at. But for love to take a few moments here and share with you a little bit about DreamBank if you all aren't familiar. So here at American Family Insurance, we believe that communities are stronger and the future is brighter when people are actively pursuing their dreams. And that's why DreamBank was created. It's an inspirational community destination and digital experience that is dedicated to dreamers everywhere. Our offerings are designed to help you celebrate the dream journey, overcome obstacles, and to stay motivated. And today we have Pua Pakele discussing owning your expertise and building your legacy. So without further ado, I'm going to head and kick it over to Pua. Pua, take it away.
Andy, brilliant. Thank you so much. I am thrilled to be here. I'd love to see where everybody's tuning in from. And if you could drop in the chat also what you do, what your day-to-day profession is. I would love to learn that as well. Richmond, Virginia. Awesome. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so as you guys are doing that, I know it's so annoying in this year 3 of Zoom, but if you do want to turn your camera on, I always love and appreciate seeing people's faces and engaging in that way. No pressure if you want to keep it off. Turning into a professional photographer, epic. Sales for a hair care brand, trade show manager from Lake Tahoe. Beautiful. I love it. We are from everywhere doing all sorts of things, which is absolutely perfect for what we're talking about today. So I always start every presentation that I do with 3 deep breaths, and I'll give you the 2-minute quick story about why I do this. So my entrepreneurial journey actually started as a fitness coach at a local gym. I didn't end up going into fitness, but that's sort of where I met my business partner. And that whole thing began about 10 years ago. So at the beginning of every class, we would take 3 deep breaths. No one ever explained to me why. It was just something that we did. And so I'd, stumble into class just on time, and everybody would be taking their deep breaths. And we just sort of I knew that was the start to class, and then we would get going. One day, somebody actually explained that, and I fell in love with why we did it. So they said, these are 3 deep breaths to sort of welcome you into the space, to enter you into that presence of taking the next 45 minutes to an hour for yourself. We all came from different places. We all had a different day before we got here. We have different things that we may or may not be looking forward to after we leave. But this time is for you. And so I like to adopt that for all of my presentations. So I invite you to either stand up or in your seat. I'll join you in your seat, and just raise your hands up over your head. Take a nice deep breath all the way in and breathe out. Deep breath number 2. Here we go. Breathe in and breathe out. Brilliant. Last one. Breathe in and breathe out. Okay, thank you for indulging me in that. I hope that felt good for you to just take a few moments for yourself. So we're going to dive right in. I'm going to share my presentation. I have a few slides, and this always is a really interesting part of the presentation where I'm trying to share my screen. So bear with me for just a moment. Okay, so we're sharing and we're playing. Did we do it?
Looking good. Looking good.
Brilliant. Thanks, Andy. Okay, awesome. So happy Valentine's Day. We are talking about something very, very exciting. Creating legacy in your business and your life. We're going to touch on expertise as well. So let's dive in. I would love to hear, actually. Let me know in the chat. Does anybody choose a word of the year? I know that this is sometimes a practice. Oh, shoot. I can't see the chat. Let me try to get that back.
That's okay. I can kind of chime in too as you're rocking your presentation
Okay.
here.
Perfect. Thanks, Andy.
Nothing yet, but I'll report back. Oh, here we go. My word is launch. Word for the year, prepare. Linda Green, optimal. Lots of people, lots of great responses. Excel.
Awesome. Brilliant. Okay, perfect. Keep dropping those in. Andy, if you see any that are like, that you want to just shout out that are really exciting, feel free.
Most certainly.
And I will share with you guys. I have 2 words. I kind of like, I like to push limits a little bit. You'll learn that throughout this. So the 2 words, where are we? Here we go. The 2 words that I have for 2023. I think you guys might already know what these are. We kind of spoiled the surprise. But these are expert and legacy. And I chose these words because they make me feel a little bit uncomfortable. I imagine that for most people, setting yourself up as an expert in anything can feel a little bit, I don't know, it can feel a little egotistical, I guess is the word. I'd love to hear, like, does anybody see the word expert and even legacy? And you're like, oh yeah, okay, everybody's an expert in this day and age. Like, who's checking this stuff, right? I know I sometimes get that sort of visceral response. And today is all about shedding all of that judgment and utilizing this space to step into your expertise so that you can create a legacy for yourself, serve your communities, serve your clients, and change lives. That's what this is about. It's not about, peacocking and showcasing yourself for like influencers and followers and likes. It's really about creating and making an impact and creating change in the community and everybody that you touch. All right, so we are going to dive into expertise first. And I would love to hear, when you yourself are looking for an expert or you're sort of searching for support in something, what qualities are you looking for in whatever that is that you're searching, whether that's for some kind of coaching or a service or even a product? What are some qualities that come to mind?
Pua, as people are typing, I'll go ahead and I'll kick things off too. I think experience is a big one for me, especially pertaining to, any sort of financial tools or anything surrounding big life decisions, I should say, whether it's working with a realtor, a banker, an insurance agent. Some comments that have come in here: passion, honesty, genuine. So I think authenticity is a big one for me as well too. Years of experience and referrals, knowledgeable, experienced, and relatable. So yes, I can identify with all of these. Knowledge is another one that just came in as well too. Approachable. Yes, I can identify with many of these.
Absolutely. Those are absolutely perfect. And I agree. I think that those are really, really important qualities in seeking out support from somebody who we see as an expert, right? Okay, so now what I would love for you to do is drop some of the qualities in the chat that you heard that you feel that you yourself embody in your day-to-day. So whether that's in your profession, at home with your family, what are some of those qualities that you feel very connected to, that you resonate with? And I'll share with you how we do this. And when we do this workshop in person, I give everybody a sheet of paper, or sometimes we have those giant Post-its and we stick them on the wall, and everybody has one. So they write down 3 qualities of an expert. And then we either pass the papers around or people walk around the room and they take, their pen or their marker, and they either put their initials or they put a check mark next to all of the qualities that they also embody as an expert. And some of the really cool sort of aha moments and transformational moments from this presentation come in that moment where they're like, oh my gosh, I feel like I am all of these things and I never realized it. And I would imagine everyone in this room also can now or in the very near future resonate with most of the qualities that were shared in the chat. Do you guys agree?
That was just I wouldn't call it an aha moment, but I felt that kind of happening. And I think a big one for me is authenticity, and Peter had mentioned openness, Kristen, engaging, versatility, ability to communicate, honest, approachable. I'm seeing, you know, that middle part of the Venn diagram between the two growing. Great listener and compassionate, authentic. So yes, yes, yes. Thank you, folks.
Amazing. Awesome. This is such like that feeling that you're feeling right now where you're like, oh my God, this is me. Let's hold on to that because it's so powerful and expansive. And just keep that feeling for the rest of the session and hopefully the rest of the day and the week and the year. I know I see things through a very rose-colored lens. All right. So here are some things that came to mind in terms of just my own reflection of expertise. You're the best in the world at what you do. That is a really bold statement, right? Now, here's the thing. If you are a service provider or anything, like whatever it is that you do, if you have a product, if you, are employed and you have a specific set of responsibilities, it's imperative that you believe that you are the best in the world at what you do. And if you don't believe this, what can you do to become that? Here's why. So I'm a web designer. And when I get on my sales calls, if I don't believe that this is true, like deep within my gut, not just like oh, I'm the best, but like truly, I believe that you're going to come to me and have the absolute best customer experience on the planet. I've worked very hard to make that a reality. If I didn't believe that, here's what my calls would sound like. Hey, so I heard you on a website. So what's you want to start to sell products? Okay, cool. We can technically make that happen for you. There are other people, they can do it better. We're like second or third best. But if you're cool with that, we're cool with it. Let's go. Like, I know that's a little bit dramatic, but essentially that's what you're saying when you don't believe that what you can offer is unmatched by anybody else. So it's really important that we start to step into this mindset. You are experienced, trained, knowledgeable, passionate. You guys said a lot of these things in the chat and other things that I would absolutely add to this list. And you have a proven track record. Okay, so expertise doesn't happen overnight. If I go take a graphic design course tomorrow, I don't think I would be able to say that I'm an expert and I'm the best in the world at what I do this weekend. It might take more training. It'll take a little bit of practice. So if you have been doing this for a while, you have a proven track record, I would say that is also a quality of an expert. And probably the most telling quality is that you can teach what you know. And this really takes your expertise to the next level. This starts to create that bridge and that transition from being an expert, which is a sort of transactional two-way quality, into creating that legacy where you're creating a ripple effect and you are leaving behind knowledge, skills, experience, passion for people behind you to learn what it is that you do, right? So from providing a service from A to B, and it's from business to customer, you're then training the next generation of service providers, right? This is a quote, I think Yogi Bhajan. If you want to learn something, read about it. If you want to understand something, write about it. And if you want to master something, teach it. And I feel like this really embodies the trajectory of expertise and how we start to become that expert. All right. Does anyone have questions up until now? Feel free to drop them in the chat at any time. And Andy, feel free to pop in and let me know.
You bet. Nothing yet, but I'll pop in once they come through.
Okay, brilliant. All right. So we're going to talk about the function of an expert, because you're like, okay, I get it. I'm an expert, but now what? Like, what do I do with that? So here we go. You provide a service, solve a problem, right? You provide efficient and effective growth. Let's think about this one for a second, because this is a really, really, really powerful sort of concept behind the idea of expertise. When we want to achieve something, let's say I want to run a Facebook ad, I have a couple of options. I could go to Google, I can go to YouTube, I could look up how to run a Facebook ad, how to run a converting Facebook ad, and I can get hundreds of answers, right? I can still do that. I can create a converting Facebook ad that way. And I'm going to spend many, many hours learning this, figuring it out, trial and error. I'll probably waste a bunch of money at the same time. Or I could hire an expert, somebody who has experience, knowledge, passion, training, somebody who has a proven track record. And maybe they're teaching this as well, right? Those are all things that I'm looking for in an expert. And if they can show me all of those things, they're probably going to save me time. They're going to save me money down the line. It might be a bigger investment up front, but that is truly the value of hiring an expert, right? Additional support. Maybe you're hiring a coach, community leaders, experts in specific industries and fields, mentorship, right? So take a look at this list and see both where you can maybe utilize an expert to achieve some of the goals that you have for your life and your business. And also, how can you start to showcase these things and embody these things and weave them into what you do every day, whether that's your business, your life, your community. Okay. Now, for those business owners out there who have things like websites or, you have different social channels, here are ways that you can showcase your expertise sort of in the digital space without actually having to talk to people and saying like, I'm an expert and here's why, because that can be a little bit awkward. We want to showcase competence. Can you actually do the thing that you're claiming that you can do? Cool, prove it, right? For me, that means showcasing a portfolio on my website, walking people through how-tos on my social media channels, showing that I actually understand the industry and what I'm actually saying that I can do. Credibility. So a great way that doctors, dentists, healthcare providers showcase credibility, they have all of their diplomas and degrees and certificates up on the walls, right? If you've taken a class, post the logo of that class on your website. If you have a certificate or training or a degree of any sort. A lot of people use this in their email signatures as well. And results. Results is a huge one. This can come from, Yelp reviews, Google reviews, just getting testimonials directly from your clients for products or services. If you don't already have a feedback channel, I strongly suggest creating one. And even if you don't want to publicly post people's, testimonials, it's really powerful to also have feedback just in terms of improving your business. So on that side, having feedback channels is really, really important. But I would strongly recommend also utilizing things like Google Business. If you have a business and you have not set up a Google Business profile, do that today. It's actually a pretty quick process. And that will help people to find you faster and actually help your searchability on Google. So it's a little tip. And then you can take the Google reviews that you get through there and use different widgets and stuff to embed them on your website. It's a really powerful tool. Who knew you'd get website advice today too? Okay, and here are some of the places that you can actually showcase the things that we just chatted about. Website, obviously. You can have a blog. Having a blog is a phenomenal way to showcase your expertise because it allows you to A, talk about what you know, and B, teach what you know. It's very, very searchable. So people are searching for articles all the time. So it can boost your SEO, your search engine optimization. Writing a book, obviously. And in this day and age, publishing a book is actually a lot easier than it used to be. You can self-publish. There are a lot of writing coaches out there. You can hire a ghostwriter. So it's actually something that's not out of reach for most of us. Have a podcast, a YouTube channel. You could even have an online course. Okay. And even that, you're like, a course. Oh my God, that's next level. it's actually quite approachable. And if that's something that you're interested in, that is also a niche that I serve. So feel free to reach out after. I'd love to chat with you about that. But if we take a look at this list, blog, podcast, YouTube, maybe even course, and I would also add social media channels on here. Those 5 things, you can repurpose the same content for different channels. So don't feel like you either, choose one and start there, but you can also have many of these channels going at once without having to do all sorts of extra work. So just something to think about. Okay, that was a lot. Any questions come through?
Nothing yet, but sometimes there's a
perfect.
delay. So I'll be sure to monitor them and relay them.
All right, perfect. No worries. Okay, so we are about to wrap up the expert part of this presentation, but I'd love for you to share how you will start to own your expertise. What did we chat about today that inspired you to create something new or double down on something that you're already doing? Any takeaways so far?
I think for me personally, Pua, this is Andy. It was the 3 points. If you wouldn't mind going back just a couple slides, if you can. I think it was the competence. The competence, credibility, and results. My mind, immediately went to like a resume format. But I think when we're talking to people in a spoken setting, a verbal setting, that it's important maybe to like kind of check those boxes as well too. I think a lot of times, at least me personally, I may gravitate towards one of the area as opposed to 3, which kind of it's storytelling in a way, right? Like what story are you trying to tell? So I think for me personally is incorporating those 3 elements into not just a written, format like a resume, but also in a verbal way too, when I'm having conversations or in an interview format for that matter. We did receive a couple questions. This one from Sophia. What do you suggest to overcome the doubts of getting started? What is the smallest quote unquote next step to get started?
Absolutely. Great question, Sophia. Can I ask what you're working on? Getting started in business, getting started in a particular project. Can you share a little bit more?
Sophia, if you want to come off mute, if you're able to.
Sure. For example, starting posting regularly on LinkedIn.
Yeah, brilliant. So when we're talking about posting anything, YouTube, LinkedIn, social media, blogs, it is imperative to be consistent regardless of the frequency. So if you're just starting, shoot for once a month. It's as long as you're consistent, right? If that feels like I could do more than that, you do once every 2 weeks, once a week, and build up to, ideally, if posting daily is within your wheelhouse, like go for it. For most of us, that's just a little bit too ambitious. I think we all have quite a bit going on. So I would say, create content, maybe write 4 posts, sit down one day, get a cup of coffee, turn off all of your notifications and just write 4 posts and then schedule them out or plan to post them once a week for a month. That way you have a whole month's worth of content and then schedule another content creation session and do it again and again and again. And, adjust the frequency as you see fit, but consistency is by far the most important thing. Is that helpful?
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
absolutely.
Had some people mention about checking if the certifications are posted. Am I going to think how I could blog, or they are going to think how they could blog to showcase their expertise. Someone also commented, get certifications, teach, work on blog. This person commented, I'm having a hard time narrowing down my expertise to a single specific niche. I'm certainly a health life coach and energy healer. Any thoughts on that, Pua?
So creating a niche or a niche for yourself can be really overwhelming because a lot of times we know that we can serve a lot of different people. Even for myself, I can build a website for anybody. And when people ask me who you serve, it's really difficult. And know that it can change over time. Okay. So I used to just serve course creators, and anybody who didn't want or have an online course, I'm like, oh, I can refer you to other designers. And I'm starting to broaden that scope a little bit. And it's okay. We can change. And so just knowing that the decision that you make today does not have to be the decision that you're stuck with can help you to relieve the pressure and start to experiment, right? So let's say you're like, well, I kind of like working with women who are between the ages of 30 and 50 who are entrepreneurs and tend to be pretty burnt out. Play with that niche, start to create messaging around it. You'll attract a couple of clients in that niche, decide if you like to serve them or if you'd like to shift or adjust anything. And so I would see this entire entrepreneurial journey as like a big set of mini experiments. And that's just one of them. I know that that's not really like super tangible, but I hope that it helps a little bit.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. That's looking to be all the comments and questions that have come in at that time. I'll keep you posted if anything else gets added.
Absolutely. Sounds great. One more thing I'll add to that as well is ask your audience. So if anybody is feeling stuck around, let's say like language for describing a service or figuring out who you serve, if you have a way to ask your audience questions, a Facebook group, a community, even just the contact info for like 3 of your favorite clients, ask them, what were you struggling with before you met me? What did I help you to do? Who do you think I am best able to serve? They are going to be able to see you and your business from a completely different perspective. And the language that they use is the language that other people that aren't you are using. So when it comes to creating like blog content or YouTube content or even keywords for your website, you want to be using language that is searchable by the general public. So for example, if you're in fitness and you teach high intensity interval training in your classes, that's a feature that you could list, but you're going to want to use language like, great for all fitness levels. I'm blanking out, but you know what I mean? Like you want to connect with the audience who is unfamiliar with the language that's used in your industry. Are we good? Thumbs up on that? Okay, I can just feel the thumbs up within me. So I'm going to keep on moving. Okay. So the other half here is talking about legacy, which I think is such a beautiful space to start to really sink into. And it's something that I think we all sort of have people in our lives who we look up to, who we see as legendary. And we all sort of have that moment of like, am I helping in this world? Am I doing good? Are people going to remember me? What is the legacy that I'm going to leave behind? So today we get to think about that. And it's not something that has to come to fruition after we are gone. We can create our legacy while we're still here, which is great news. So I would love to hear from you. What does legacy mean to you? What are some ideas and thoughts and words that come to mind?
I'll kick things off. Stewardship is one that comes to mind for me.
Absolutely. I love that answer. Anyone else? You're also all welcome to come off of mute and just yell your answers out.
Linda said, legacy is leaving something bigger than me that outlives me. Kristen mentions, helpful to others.
Excellent. Absolutely. I completely agree. Awesome. Keep dropping your answers.
Improving.
Generational change.
Yep.
Brilliant. Okay, guys, keep them coming. Here are a couple of things that sort of came to me as I was putting this together. You provide a life-changing product, service, or experience. Now, know that life-changing can be really, really big and it can be really, really small. Sometimes it can just be a conversation that you have with somebody in line to get coffee, and they remember that conversation for the rest of their lives. So you can create legacy in many different ways, and sometimes it can be intentional, and sometimes you have no idea you did it. You're teaching, sharing, and passing down your knowledge, right? You are literally creating legacy material. You've innovated a framework for transformation. So transformation is going to be a really big theme throughout the rest of this presentation. And that is really, when we go through a transformation, we talked a little bit about, storytelling earlier. We've got that hero's journey, and people are experiencing your teaching, your knowledge, your product, your service. They are literally transforming who they are, maybe what they do, maybe how they see the world. Maybe it's a physical transformation through, nutrition, fitness, mindset. Maybe it's internal. These transformations are absolutely life-changing, again, big or small, and it does contribute to your legacy, absolutely. The one that I think most embodies legacy, at least for me, is the ability to make an impact. And again, this can be through your business. It can be an intentional program or a service, and it can also be, meeting a kid on the street and helping them to learn something that day. All right, so I would love to hear now everybody in this room, how do you build legacy in your business and your life? Thinking about the transformation that you provide, and just the different ways that you might touch people's lives. I know it's kind of a tough one.
So Linda commented, my personal legacy is that I help other people leave their story legacies.
Wow. I love that. Awesome. Keep thinking about this. And I encourage you, if I'm starting to move on and you're like deleting your comment, please continue to share, because this right here is about creating awareness around the legacy that you're already creating in what you do. Whether or not you see it that way, you are already making an impact. So I want you to now start to really create some consciousness around that, because it's really, really powerful to be able to continue to build on that.
So
Anything
Katie
else
types,
come through?
Yep. Helping others grow in their career and helping companies be best places to work for their workforce. And then Susan also commented, helping others to achieve and keep dreaming.
I love this so much. Think about how, 10 years down the line, if somebody got the career of their dreams with you, you are legendary to them. And same, if I have these dreams and aspirations and I met somebody who could help me achieve them, oh my gosh, I'm going to remember you forever, right? Brilliant. Keep dropping those in the chat. Okay, so here are just some ideas, just some things that we can do to start building a legacy, creating a legacy. Again, you'll notice some of these same themes throughout. So as we are showcasing our expertise, we can also build channels for creating a legacy, right? Because when we are utilizing our expertise to provide a world-class product or service, best in the world, right? Providing that memorable customer experience, providing transformation and results, we become part of these people's stories. I remember every coach that I had that made an impact on me. My 4th grade teacher was my favorite teacher. He absolutely is legendary to me. And people that I talked to who went to the same school have very similar ideas, right? So he is somebody who's he was passionate, he was knowledgeable, he was approachable and kind and influential to hundreds of kids. This is something that is so powerful and can be so meaningful. And that once we release the pressure of feeling like we have to be on, like Hall of Fame legends, no, we just have to impact one person to leave a legacy. And most likely you'll impact many more. Here are some ways we can create legacy in day-to-day life, beyond the office, beyond our own, businesses or with our employers, right? You can be a very, very impactful, legendary parent. And I know parenting is super difficult, and sometimes we feel like we're doing a horrible job. Just know that with intention and just being there for your family, you become somebody so impactful and so influential. Philanthropy, right? Do you volunteer? Have you volunteered for the same nonprofit for 10 years? You don't tell anybody about it. You just go there. You just serve meals to the less fortunate people in your community. They remember you. They may not even know your name, but you make an impact. Okay. Random acts of kindness that can be so, so huge. So just some ideas to jot down if any of them speak to you and you feel like implementing them in your life. I spoke with somebody the other week, and his entire business is around creating giving back, right? And so he guides business owners on how to weave in ways to give back into their business structure. So whether that's, donating a percentage of your revenue to a specific nonprofit, or bringing your teams to a volunteer event. And something that he recommended is creating a happiness account. So it's a bank account that's a separate account that you pull from when you want to do things like buying somebody a meal or grabbing coffee for the person behind you. And it's just a resource that you start to create for yourself to just leave an impact in your day-to-day life. So I thought that was a cool idea. All right. So one of the main themes here is transformation. Whether you have a product, a service, whether you are, if whatever that you do in your career space, the people that you influence and that you touch and that you serve every day, you have the opportunity and the ability to provide a transformation for them. It could be serving them a cup of coffee and giving them a smile, and you may have transformed what was a really terrible morning into what is going to become a better day. Or you could be, Tony Robbins, transform millions of people's lives with these giant conferences and workshops. It does not matter the size of the impact. What matters is the transformation. Do we have any questions, any thoughts as we start to wrap this? Yeah.
There's a couple that have come through. One that came back a little ways away regarding, hang on, I am scrolling to find it. Okay, there were 3 questions to ask 3 clients. They were great. And this person was asking if you wouldn't mind putting them in the chat so that they can access them.
3 questions that I put up here?
Yeah, I said, what were the 3 questions to ask 3 clients?
3 questions to ask.
I'm trying. Heather, if you wouldn't mind coming off of mute to clarify for Pua.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. So we were talking about asking your communities or your clients to help you identify your niche or identify how you help them, yep. Right? Okay, cool. Yeah. I don't remember exactly what I said, but it would be just worth reaching out and asking, what were you struggling with before we met each other, before we engaged in this service? What were the other ones? Who do you think that I could best serve? I think was one of them. And that's when we're sort of talking about identifying your niche a little bit. Oh, the third one. If anybody remembers, feel free to drop it in the chat. I guess it might just be around getting feedback on your service and identifying the language that they're using. So, you could say, Through high intensity interval training, I help my clients to achieve a 60 BPM heart rate at rest, right? That means nothing to the non-fitness person. So they might say, you know, I feel so much better. My energy levels are much higher and I feel like I can keep up with my kids as their review of your business. And so using that language for messaging, for promotions, for blog posts, that can be really powerful. Was that what you were talking about?
I think so. But Heather's been messaging
Okay.
me. It sounds like that was right on the right track. This next question
Perfect.
came from Nikki. I think it was regarding the legacy portion you just covered, but how do you view accountability through that lens?
Interesting question. Accountability in terms of like the client's accountability, the service provider. Could you share more?
Yeah, Nikki, I don't know if you have the ability to come off of mute and clarify a little bit more. I haven't heard anything, so let's just keep trucking along. Shoot me a message if, okay, it was on the last slide, is what she had just mentioned. So legacy. Yeah. How do you build your legacy in your business?
It could maybe have been.
Nikki, are you able to pop on and just clarify for Pua? Okay, legacy, accountability on this list with the parent, mentor, etc.
Accountability. So that when I wrote that, I was sort of thinking, and I meant to explain that. Thank you for asking, because I know that that's a little bit vague. Are you an accountability partner for somebody who is going through something, right? It could be, you know, helping somebody get to the gym every day and saying, like, text me when you go, or, you know, I'll be there. Come, even if you're tired. It could be, you know, hey, I'm going to write a book this year, and I'm telling you for accountability, and could you help hold me to it? And you are the person that says, hey, you said you'd write a couple pages this week. Could you send those to me? Right. And that impact that you make just as being there for accountability and support can also really, really create a great legacy for yourself and support the other person and create a legacy for themselves. Does that help? I got trigger happy. I hope that helps. Okay. We are going to move along. Definitely let me know in the chat if I have not answered any questions that are still outstanding. I'd love to hear, what is the transformation that you offer in your business, in your day-to-day? Do you go out of your way to say hi to somebody who might be, you know, sleeping on the street? Do you offer a transformational experience in your business? I'd love to hear. And for other people who are here and looking at what you do, this is a great opportunity to also connect. So if you see something and you're like, ooh, that's a transformation that I'm interested in learning more about, I know somebody who could use your services, I encourage you to connect with each other. And this is a space, you don't know where people are coming from. You could meet somebody who could really create an impact in your life, or somebody that you know. So definitely share the transformation that you provide and connect if it feels like that's calling to you. All right, voice of God.
Yes.
Andy,
Thank you. I was waiting to see
if
anyone else was popping in. Right. I know here at DreamBank, you know, it ties really heavily into our purpose, but the work we do is meant to ladder up to help people get inspired to pursue their dreams. And in large part, we do that by helping to remove barriers for individuals. individuals. So whether that's like a skills gap, a perceived or actual gap, but I would say that that's the transformation that myself and my team do on a daily basis. So helping to remove barriers for individuals so that they're able to dream fearlessly.
That is so beautiful. I love that.
Heather commented here. So I'm a racial healing practitioner. I hold sacred racial healing circles.
Incredible. That is so interesting. I'd love to learn more about that.
There was a question from Peter asking if you had any advice on separating yourself from the past.
Oh, I feel like that is a bit outside my wheelhouse. And it might require a little bit of a deeper dive into what exactly you mean. And I'm curious as to why you would want to do that, because, and you don't need to share here. I mean, that can sort of, it sounds like a very deep question. And considering that there are parts of your past that may feel painful, and allowing that to be part of your story, because you may inspire and influence people who have a similar story, who may also be in pain. There's something to consider.
This one from Susan: assisting people with resumes, cover letters, and using my teaching skills of my past in my current role as a coordinator and project manager.
Oh, I love that, sort of infusing your experience together. That's what this is about, for sure.
Nikki also mentioned helping people see themselves more clearly and what is important to them by clearing out the noise of societal garbage we've internalized that gets in the way.
Totally. It is a very noisy world out there. I think we all need some of that. It sounds like you provide sort of a space for noise cancellation in the modern world.
Sure.
I love that. Brilliant. Thanks so much for sharing, you guys. Keep them coming. Absolutely. And yeah, we are just about to wrap things up. This is just really a prompt for you to start to reflect. And if you have something that you're using to write notes down, if you have a calendar, if you have, anything at your disposal right now that you can use to just jot an action item down that you're excited to implement into your business, something that you heard today that you'd like to take action on. These workshops, they're so wonderful. And we always have this like really high vibration and great energy during them. And I can't wait to do this. I can't wait to do that. And after we hang up, I bet you have a full calendar today. And after your next 6 calls, you may not feel as like excited and expansive. So what I want you to do right now is take a couple of minutes, find something that you're excited to take action on, and schedule that into your calendar. Find a time that's open, that you can, again, sort of shut things off and just start implementing one small thing this week.
I know for me, it's going to be incorporating those 3 components when I'm speaking on my expertise, at least verbally to start. But
awesome. I love that.
I think Peter mentioned that they will be checking out Google Business. So I think that's
yes, for sure. And feel free to reach out if you need help with that. I just recently set it up for my business. And it's been really, really impactful.
And Pua, I don't know if you have this built in or not, but if people do want to reach out, what is the best way for them to do so?
Thanks for asking. It's like magic. So this is my website. You're welcome to shoot me an email and connect with me. Instagram is really the only social platform that I'm super active on. And I would love to connect with you. And if, you reach out and you're following, and all of a sudden in April, you're like, where'd she go? We are going to be rebranding, but I'm going to be connecting everything over pretty seamlessly. So if you're connected on any of these platforms, you shouldn't have any sort of lapse in trying to reconnect. So just sort of giving you guys a heads up what's coming soon.
Okay, and I'm just typing some of these into the chat for people who might want to be copy and pasters. Okay.
Perfect. Yeah. Pualena, Pualena. A lot of times people will switch out the U and the A, and it looks a lot like Paulina.
Oh, like
So
I
if
just did. Yes.
Oh,
Disregard that, please. Okay, making sure. All right, I double checked and made sure it's correct this time. That is the correct email
perfect.
address folks are interested in contacting.
Brilliant. All right. That is all I have today.
Wonderful. Let me remove the spotlight here so that people are able to hop off. I know we have a little bit of time left, so I think if people have any sort of questions, they could certainly go ahead and ask. Rebecca, some nice praise. Love your energy. Thank you so much. And I agree, Pua, that was a great presentation. I had a lot of fun helping to support you there too, and obviously learning alongside you as well. Some more praise from Susan. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you, Susan, for being here. Thank you all very much for taking time out of your day to join us, and thank you, Pua, for putting together such a wonderful presentation. I did have a couple questions. You know, I think that you do a wonderful job presenting these two, and I'm wondering the two frameworks at least that you had utilized. I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind sharing. Maybe was this always kind of like a natural thought process for you? What I'm wondering is, was there any part of the process that you maybe struggled with or didn't come so intuitively or naturally for you?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking that. And I really should weave that in because it's important. I have like major imposter syndrome around this stuff. And it's really easy to teach other people. It's really easy to talk about it and be very inspiring about it. And I believe deeply that all of this, that we all have this as our truth within us. We are all experts at things. We all can create a legacy. And yet when it comes to implementing it yourself, there's so much self-doubt and like, who am I to do this? Maybe I need this certification in order to claim this type of expertise. And what really helped me was knowing that when I'm able to see that other people got the result that they were hoping for and more through their work with me, that was one of the main catalysts of understanding that I can now step into this as an expertise. So getting those reviews, getting that feedback from people is a really, really great step. It can be hard to ask. It can. You know, if you have a past client and you're like, hey, we worked together 6 months ago. I hope you're doing well. Would you mind writing a review for me? I just listed my business on Google. That would be really meaningful. And that it can be that kind of feedback could be really, really great. And just know also that we all are going to continue to learn for the rest of our lives. We are lifelong learners. And so you can deeply believe that your product or service is the absolute best today. And it's going to keep getting better, right? Yeah.
Awesome. So I think this ties into this next question a little bit. So Linda asked, what if your expertise is different from your signature story, quote unquote? For instance, my expertise is helping people leave their story legacies, but my signature story is that I'm a late bloomer and quote unquote came into my own later in life. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a really beautiful distinction because a lot of times our signature story is meant to relate with an audience, right? So Linda, does this sound familiar where we've identified our signature story as a way to talk about what we do to people and help them to say like, oh my gosh, she went through this. That is how you are setting yourself up as an expert in like the school of life, right? Like that is something that you experienced, you've overcome it, and now you use your expertise to help other people who may be going through that to come out the other side, right? So it's sort of like the internal versus external messaging, and they're both very important.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. As we wrap up here at DreamBank, we are a community that is built of fellow fearless streamers. And we always like to ask our presenters, what's one piece of advice that you have for someone who is actively pursuing a dream right now?
Ooh, I love that question. I would say write about it every day. And when you're writing, write about it as if it's already happened. So you are going to start to embody the reality of that dream coming to life. So I had a mentor who called this pre-paving, and she did like a whole goal setting session on this. And basically you identify a goal, and there's a whole framework around it. We identify obstacles and all these things. And then we start to essentially create journal entries like a year from today. And we talk about, so I'm launching a digital media agency. And so I would say, today was a great day. I love, the team that I've created in our agency and how wonderfully they serve our clients, how attentive they are, how knowledgeable they are, and just really start to weave that framework into a real life situation. And it does something to our mental state that allows us to shed any judgment and any sort of self-inflicted obstacles that may come our way that might impede our progress towards that goal.
No, I love that. And it may be somewhat difficult for you here, but if you've been in the DreamBank space, you may recognize these keys. So these right here are individuals' dreams that they have written down and declared. So what we like to share with people is that you're 40% more likely to accomplish a goal if you write it down or if you share it with someone, and that's the idea behind that. So I know it's not a complete apples to apples of what you were just mentioning there too, but I think Rebecca in the chat did a wonderful job manifesting it, right? And that's the idea.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I love that. I love that. And I think with that, it's a good place to kind of wrap things up. Those are all the questions that have come in today. Pua, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to learn from you, getting to interact with you as well as all of the guests here today. I had a great time, and I'm willing to bet many of you felt very similar as well. So with that, we will go ahead and cap this event there, and we will see you all next time. Take care.
Wonderful. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Andy.
Bye.